Welcome to Mansfield Matters, your home for all things Stags.
Craig's at the mic, his passion's bright, with metaphors you can't ignore, and anagrams that make us groan till everyone starts to moan.
Who is Randy Once?
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. Where's Nathan gone? He's never on. The blind Stag's late, not gonna wait. Cam's watching Hollyoaks again. He's useless anyway. Let's just begin. We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. And now, introducing the world's greatest announcer. Alan brings the joy and light, while Clive keeps sense in sight. Nick's got shirts for every day. Jim's our super sub. Hey, hey! The chat rolls on. Your prediction. We give match reports and witty retorts, while Craig reads questions from his list that leave us all feeling pretty miffed. Time's almost up. Done! We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. That's all for this week. Probably-ish.
The 2025-2026 season is up and running, but let's hope it's true what they say, that it ain't how you start, it's how you finish. Defeat on opening day at Burton does raise some questions like, are we actually ready yet? Do we understand the tactic? And why do we keep conceding goals from distance? But there's plenty of time to answer those and improve, where areas of the performance did leave a little bit of saliva in the mouth, ready to witness what's to come. As we look ahead to the next couple of games, including Doncaster Rovers at home in the league on Saturday, and then the C Word in the Cup midweek, we do so without Keanu Bacchus, who in the last couple of hours has left the club. More on that throughout tonight's podcast, as we also talk ticket exchanges, that's one for Alan. We talk about the Bishop Street stand being back, and much, much more in between. This is the show for you to have your say on your team. Why? Because Mansfield matters. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Mansfield Matters Podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Yes, we are underway for a brand new season, and we are delighted to be back yet again. Sadly, though, we're not starting the season, a new season of the podcast, by reflecting on all 3 points. But we'll do our best to try and bring some joy and light to proceedings as we look ahead to the next couple of games. And joining me to do that, I have got a stellar lineup of Stags fans to do just that. First and foremost, let's say hello, good evening, and welcome to a man whose face you won't see on screen, but whose voice you'll hear. Although I've put a little graphic of him on screen, although I'm sure when he watches this back, he won't thank me for it. It's Jim Evans. Evening, Jim.
Evening, Craig. Evening, all.
Great to have you with us and back with us again. One day we will sort your tech out. We will get you back and get your face on screen, because I guarantee when you watch it back, you won't be happy with the facial screenshot that I took from a previous episode that I put on screen. But we love you anyway, and it's good to have you back with us.
It's good to be here. I'm sure the photo's lovely. Thank you.
It always is, man. It always is. And also joining me via the plethora or medium of social media. Let's say hello and welcome to a man who might be in a slight delay. I have ordered him some new tech, but Amazon haven't delivered it yet. It's Alan Wilson. Evening, Al.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
Do you know, that wasn't too bad, actually, although he did, I think, forget what my actual name was for a minute there. Al, did you have a slip of the... Forget who I was?
No, I was actually thinking of what Clive had put earlier on, that was all. I got misguided, but never mind, it can only get better, Craig.
It certainly can. Well, speaking of the devil, let's go straight over to him, shall we, and say hello, good evening to the man, the myth, the legend of Clive Parkin. Evening, Clive.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, everybody.
And the man who just did a very quick tactical cough before I put him on screen. Let's say hello, good evening, and welcome to Nick of Mansfield Shirts fame.
Hello, I haven't forgotten your name, Craig. Hello.
I really appreciate you not forgetting my name. That's really appreciated. Right, shall we start then by talking about the news that's come from the club in the last sort of couple of hours or so. Jim, I'll bring you in on this one first. Keanu Bacchus has left the club.
Yeah, I can't say I'm massively disappointed, to be honest with you. He didn't pull up any trees last season. It's by what the club said, it was personal reasons. He's one of those players, when I think about our squad, I always forget him, to be honest with you, which doesn't say a lot. So, yeah, I think it's a good move, and it frees up some waste space, and there's no doubt there'll be one in there.
You think there will be one in, Jim? You think that Clough won't just say we've got enough in that area?
Well, he did say if anyone got sold, he'd look at more players. And I think we're still, personally, I think the squad's good enough, but if you're going to split hairs, I'd have a number 10. And he's in a sort of midfield role. So I see someone else coming in there. Yeah, I think, and yeah, definitely.
It's interesting, Nick, that Jim mentioned there that sometimes he forgot that Bacchus was part of our squad. In years to come, will you be? Let's picture the scene. 20 years time, Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame is still hunting down shirts. Will you be hunting down a Keanu Bacchus shirt?
Yeah.
He's got one, hasn't he? Of course, he's got one.
Oh.
Like, I shouldn't have even.
He's got one.
He shot himself in the foot. What you've done there, Nick, you shot yourself in the foot by not having your camera set up the right way around.
Oh, is it? Hang on.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do it now. But I have got one. I've got a back to front Bacchus shirt.
Back to front Bacchus shirt.
I'm not going to try and pronounce that backwards.
No, definitely don't. I wouldn't either. Alan, it's always sad to see a player leave, but I think Jim has a bit of a point, to be honest. He was one of those players that blew cold more times than he blew hot last season. You got the sense that he'd not quite found his groove at Mansfield Town. That was a question to you, Alan.
Oh, sorry.
That's a delay. That's some delay, that is. that is some delay.
You poor old bugger.
How do you feel about Aston Christie
I was
coming
still
back?
waiting. I thought we were waiting for... I just sat here waiting for Nick. I thought you were still talking. But no, he had some good games. He scored the odd decent goal. But, it like Jim said before, he didn't pull up many trees. He had some good games. He had some bad games. And, it is. If he's got to move for personal reasons, that's fair comment. Good luck to that lad. I only wish him all the best.
I think
he's done us no harm.
Yeah, I think it's a safe move, Clive. I think he didn't really pull up too many trees. He obviously seemed to at some point drop out of the international squad, and I don't quite think that he lived up to the hype that he arrived with. And I think probably him going back to Scotland's a wise move for all. I'm not sure if we've received any financial gain from him going back, because I don't think the club have put anything out about that. But I think it's a wise move all round.
Yeah, I think for family reasons it makes sense to the player. I think from the club point of view, it's no huge loss. I thought he had one or two decent flashes of football in his time. I don't think he was treated particularly well in where they made him play. So I don't think we ever saw the best of him. But what my enduring criticism is I thought he was lightweight, and in League One you've got to be more durable than I thought he was. But I wish him well.
Yeah, Alan, this is a question for you, so be prepared. He's nodding.
Yeah.
In terms of
I can hear that.
position-wise and finding somewhere for Keanu Bacchus, I don't know about you, but I always got the sense that Nigel Clough wanted to try and experiment with him at right wing back, and that always felt like a non-starter for me.
Yeah, in my opinion, that would have been it's a wasted place. I don't think that was his best position. I think his best position was, inside on the midfield, because he has in the past he'd been able to put some good through balls through, and like somebody said in the comments, he has had a few assists. So it's just it didn't work out for whatever reason. Like Clive says, if it's because he's just had a youngster, hasn't he? I think as well. I don't think it was long ago before he had it. Yeah, so things need to be settling down, and he probably wants to go back home where he's used to stuff. And he did say also that he was hoping to get back some sort of form playing regularly so he could get back in the Australian squad, which is fair comment.
I think another thing to think about, Nick, as well, is the fact that we have got an overload in that midfield position. And I think playing the system that we are, the 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, 3-4-1-2, whichever way you want to look at it, I don't think there's a natural place that fitted Keanu Bacchus.
No, maybe not. I don't think he was going to get anywhere near the starting 11. And I must admit, when we were looking at the team in the subs bench, I completely forgot that he wasn't even on the bench. I hadn't even thought about it till I heard the Clough interview afterwards, and you think, oh yeah, he wasn't even on the bench. I think he maybe could have challenged at that number 10, but Clough didn't seem to want to play him that far forward, did he? So I guess that's the problem for me, is like Alan's alluded to, he never really played where we thought he could sort of be most effective. I think the last 2 games of last season, I thought he played really well, but again, like Clive mentioned, it was up and down, wasn't it? It was a bit too in the games and out of games. Did he ever get a massively consistent run in the team? Maybe not, but I think we've got better players now, and if he's going for family reasons, you can't really moan at him for that, and hopefully we got a little bit of money for him or free up some wages, either or.
Jim, you were talking about, potentially now with a slot opening up, bringing somebody else in. I think Nigel Clough, you're right in what you say before. Nigel Clough has historically said, hasn't he, that if one goes out, one will come in. We're not really looking for someone. Would you be looking at a loan signing, Jim, or would you be looking to bring in another permanent body to replace Keanu Bacchus, if indeed you feel that we need to?
I'd bring a permanent in, purely for the reason we've used 3 loan slots. You only get 5, and I'd save 2 slots for January if we've got any needs. And because as we know, January's not a great month to buy permanently, so I would save 2 for January. And so there's lots of players being touted around as the deadline comes into sight, and players will be looking for a deal. The demand's all lower as they want to get something sorted. I'd be looking for a permanent deal, I think.
There's definitely some interesting free agents that are out there as well that could be available on a free. I know we have got money to spend if we want to spend it. Nigel Clough has said that before, but he said that, if we can find somebody without paying a transfer fee, Jim, then we'll do just that. There's plenty of good players out there. I guess it's just finding the right position to fit us, and perhaps he might have one eye on adding to the striker department if Lee Gregory can't get himself fit. And I think with Bacchus now going out, there's no harm in adding that extra body. Maybe someone that can play as an out-and-out target man centre forward who can also double up as maybe a 10, an attacking midfielder.
Yeah, I think so. We're in a strong position because we're not desperate anyway. So we can walk away from any negotiating table as such. So there'll be plenty of players being touted about, and on freeze as well. And I think we will have a pick of players, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep your comments coming in. If you're watching the live feed, have your say on your team. Definitely want to hear from you tonight. A few of you getting in touch already. Marie's kicked us off saying, finally, my Thursday evenings are back to normal. And you know what, Marie? Just because I don't want to mess up your routine again, next Thursday, I am technically on holiday Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm having an extended extra stay over. But just for you, I'm going to change the Mansfield Matters set. I'm going to be live from a hotel room next week just for you, Marie. So your Thursdays stay exactly like that. Robert says, not sure what's happened here. Bacchus wanted English football and now returned back to Scotland. Maybe found it too hard for him here. Tom says, didn't he get most out of our assists last year, as we mentioned before? And Simon adds, Keanu was a technically good player, but felt like he wanted too much time on the ball and lost possession, and then went on to give a silly free kick away as well. And Marie says, we need a Gregory replacement. It's not looking good for him returning. Well, as we know, Clive, Marie is almost our unofficial medical expert when it comes to all things treatment room. But we do need to look for something around the Lee Gregory situation, because even if he does get himself, available, realistically, he's probably not going to be available for selection until October, early November time. And it's clear from what we've seen in pre-season and in the opening game at Burton that we are lacking that physical target man style centre forward in the opposing box. Yeah, we need somebody now, unfortunately, because the young lad we've taken on loan from Forest got crocked in Ireland, and he's a few weeks away from being selectable, I would guess. I doubt very much whether we'll see Gregory again in a yellow shirt. I'm being pessimistic because I trust in Wilson's overview, and I think we could do with another bod, and ideally a non-loan bod as part of that strike force, whether it be an out and out centre forward or just another member of the attacking team. We are blessed by having cover at the moment, but we all know the last 3 seasons have proved you need plenty because of the inevitable number of injuries you're going to have to deal with. It was good to see Oates back and he put 90 minutes in. He ran for about 75 of those 90 minutes before he ran out of steam. Good to see him back. Can't bank on him though. If Gregory does get himself in and reasonably fit, how many games do we confidently expect to get out of him in the season? We need another one. I think we do need another one, Nick, because it's clear to us that we've not quite got the range of strikers that we need in terms of, you look at Oates, you look at Evans, you look at Dwyer. Oates and Evans, pacey, like to sort of play off the shoulder and very much sort of fox in the box style strikers. What we saw at Burton was an absolute lack of physical presence in terms of throwing themselves at crosses. And if we're going to play this formation where we're using our wing backs to get forward, we have to have that big burly centre forward in the box throwing themselves at the crosses. Dwyer can do it, and we've seen Dwyer do that a little bit, but we do need that second choice. I know people will talk about, Lucas Akins, but we don't know how long that situation is going to go on for. And again, we shouldn't really be talking about it. What we have to look at is the here and now. We can't afford that complacency of going, we'll wait 2 or 3 months to see if Gregory's fit, or we'll wait till January to bring Lucas back into the fold or whatever. That doesn't solve the here and now. And football, unfortunately, is a ruthless game, and we need to be more ruthless.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else managed to watch Stockport on Sunday, but I think Carl Wootton was a perfect example of what we could do with up front. I watched probably, only 15 or 20 minutes, but at times Bolton were getting back in the game, and Stockport then just went for the big out ball, and he held up the ball. He held up 3 defenders at a time, and it just took the pressure off the defence. The ball didn't keep coming back to them when they were under pressure, and I think that's the problem. I mean, we hit so many balls at Evans and Oates' head, and it was only really when Dwyer came on did the ball actually stick up there. I don't think Bolton is that sort of player, and for me, I know he says he wants to play up front. I don't think he's an out-and-out striker personally. He's more of a wide player, isn't he? A bit of a winger. We definitely need somebody up front more than what we've got, because, like you said, Evans, Oates, Dwyer, very similar players. Bolton, the lad from Forest, but what most of them have got in common is they all get injured a lot. You look at Oates spends time out. Evans spent months out last season. The lad from Forest already injured. Bolton's got a massive injury record. Dwyer's the only one who's really, seems to be able to stay fit, but he's in his mid-30s. So I think Clive's right that I don't think you can ever have too many attacking options, and I think we definitely need something in the sort of, necessarily wouldn't, but that sort of mould, a bit of a hold up forward, and just even if you're near the end and you want to send the ball long, which is what you end up doing with a 5, and we said it a few times, we stopped getting it wide, and the 3 defenders just started lumping it, and they just lump it to nothing. So we need something up there, I think.
Alan, if you were Nigel Clough, you've got an option now. Do you bring a player in to replace Keanu Bacchus like for like, as in a ball playing midfielder, or do you look at other areas in the squad where you might be one or two short, thinking about, you know, those future possibilities with other players elsewhere? What are you doing if you're Mr. Clough?
Excuse me. I would be looking for a hold-up player, a really good, honest, hard-working hold-up player who can bring the likes of Oates and Bolton when he gets fit. Those type of players. Evans as well, I put in that category. A good hold, you know. So if they do start having to lump it forward, apparently, I mean, you four went, didn't you, on Saturday? So you saw what we needed more than I did. But I do believe we need that hold-up player, because then, you know, it's just like you say, it just keeps coming back. Evans is too lightweight and he goes on down too easily, in my opinion. But he's not that sort of player. He's a player to feed off. And I think, yes, I would be looking in the transfer market for a big centre forward. And
Yeah,
I would imagine that things are afoot in that field, I would have thought.
Yeah, Nigel Clough will always have irons in the fire. That's absolutely true. Right, Jim, let's turn our attention to Burton then on Saturday. Not the start that we wanted, but what was your general assessment watching it from the screen?
My general assessment is that Clough said before the season he wanted to play with his back three on the halfway line, man for man. And I just thought the back three kept dropping far too deep. It made the midfield too big, and that's one of the reasons our strikers were so isolated. And I put my neck on the block now and say he's got a decision to make about Sweeney, because Sweeney, I thought, was the main culprit, dropping deep on the edge of his own box. And for me, I just thought if they pushed 20 yards further forward, the midfield would be smaller, the strikers would be less isolated, and you wouldn't have to punt it forward to anybody because the game would be that much more compact. And that was my thoughts. But other than that, I thought once we got going and got some legs next to Reed, I thought we were okay in patches, but it was too early to judge. But I thought there's a lot of potential in the squad, and we just got to be patient, really.
Nick, what do you make of that?
I don't agree with the Sweeney thing. I think the thing that central defender is always going to have a lot of the ball, and I think the problem was we didn't explore. I think Noyle and Hewitt were the wrong way round. That's an absolute. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. Hewitt is not the gut-busting wing-back that he used to be. He's a bit of a half-fit Hewitt. You swap Noyle and Hewitt around, and I think we'd have had a lot more options at wing-back, and then the defenders would have been able to push up a little bit more and spread the ball out wide. Yeah, that's it, Craig, just like that. I think they'd have been able to push it out wide, but then we kept trying to go down the middle, and I thought McDonald was one of our best players. I thought he was fantastic, getting stuck in. Yeah, he gave the ball away a couple of times, but I do agree with what Jim said about the midfield being too big. They were all over the place. I don't know if Reed or Hendry knew where they were supposed to be. Hendry was all over the shop. Reed was all over the place. I just think that we were with Macca and Noyle as the wing backs. I think that might have been a different start to the game. And I think we all said, looking at the lineup, that Noyle should have been out there. It would have been nice to see Macca and Dwyer in. And I think it'd have been a different game, but I don't think that five at the back suits every game. I think it'll suit certain games, but against Burton, they were very happy for us to have that five at the back and just be passing it around the back three. And I think it's a mistake if we play that system every game, personally.
I think the big thing for me, Clive, is the players getting to understand the crux of the tactic and what their role is within that particular tactic. It can be a very good one for us to use, and it can be a very fluid one, but it relies a lot on us trying to understand everybody's roles within that, and covering for each other as well. It's not a static system like a 4-4-2 where you play one particular role and that's it, and the ball moves around. In this 3-5-2 or whatever, you as a player, you've got to be able to cover a number of roles. If Noyle goes out to support Hewitt, then Sweeney and Cargill have got to move across, or Reed's got to drop in and sit in those positions, and you've got to cover those gaps. And a fair few times on Saturday, when Burton got hold of the ball, we looked to be struggling because, and you saw it in the players' body language as well, they were looking at each other saying who's picking up who's picking up what role. And I think Nigel Clough has alluded to it before, hasn't he? It's going to take time to click, which is a little bit concerning. Perhaps we're not quite ready to implement this yet.
No, and neither team on Saturday was really clicking. If to be fair, we started off better than them. They eventually found a little bit of momentum and found each other. We were struggling to find our players because you couldn't damn well see them anyway. But Jim's right. The defending too deep meant that there was a fair amount of room in midfield, which we weren't capable of absorbing. As a consequence, their number 8 had acres to play in, and it's no mistake he scored 2 goals because we gave him options with the ball at his feet. With the defence a bit higher, that wouldn't have happened. And I won't. I think Sweeney, he needs to find the right level for himself. But he was, in my opinion, he was man of the game because he did so much work at the back, and a lot of it was frantic work because the defence wasn't really working that well together for much of the game. And if he hadn't got his body on the line and his foot behind the ball, they'd have had more chances and probably more goals.
Yeah, I agree. Seems to be a very mixed opinion on Ryan Sweeney's performance, Alan, both in the comments and on the panel tonight. Personally, I think he had a very good game for us. Again, it was one of those things about understanding the tactic and understanding the role that he had to play, and it was always going to be difficult for him as well, going back to his former employers on the opening day of the season, where, to be honest, he took absolute dog's abuse from 3 sides of the ground.
Yeah, I just have one concern, and I had it as soon as they signed Ryan Sweeney. I haven't got a problem with Sweeney. It will be a good acquisition again for Stags. But when you've got 2 left footers, with him and Cargill and nothing in between, I've always said whether you need to bench one. I love Cargill, so I don't really, I don't want to bench anybody out to the back 4, especially when Dave comes back in. But I always like to see Macca. I think Macca makes a difference to Mansfield Town with his runs and his balls into the box. And I'd agree with Carl about getting Dyer up front because he is the fox in the box and he can score. And I think if we might see something different on Saturday, like I say, you were there, I wasn't, so I can't really comment on. I'm only surmising on what happened, but it's the 2 left footers. I prefer a proper left back, and I think Bailey Cargill, as good as he is a centre half and not a left back, although he can play there.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I think that's another thing about understanding the tactic, because Bailey Cargill is definitely playing. He's not playing as a fullback or a wing back. He is playing as a centre back, but he's playing as one of 3 rather than one of the traditional 2, which is what most people, with respect of, are used to in that way. It's a completely changed game. But I agree that the 2 left footers doesn't quite work with each other. And for one, without sort of being disrespectful either, neither of them are very strong on the right foot as a natural thing. I think when you're playing that central position like Sweeney is in this setup, you need to have somebody who can play both right-footed and left-footed very, very comfortably, because your role in that 3 is to go out and cover the right side centre-back or the left side centre-back, or drop into midfield if you're carrying the ball. So you've got to be comfortable with both feet. And we did see a number of times on Saturday, even though he executed it very well, times where Sweeney would come across with his body, check the player, but then have to turn to get himself onto his left foot to clear the ball upfield. And that costs you 1 or 2 seconds, which sometimes you don't quite have in that position. But it will be an interesting thing to see how it plays out when Dave is fit and available. Sweeney will not be out of that team because he's got the armband on him. Whether Dave goes to this right side and then we look at Noyle and Hewitt, I don't know. But one of the things that I sort of picked up on Saturday, Nick, and I'm not a football manager, I'm not a tactician by any stretch of the imagination. It's just my opinion, like it is all yours. There are 1 or 2 pairings in this starting 11, which is the starting 11 from the Burton game, who shouldn't be in the same starting 11 together. Sweeney and Cargill are one of them. Noyle and Hewitt are another, and another is Hendry and Reid. Those 3 combinations seem to me like too similar of a player, which is why we had a few issues on Saturday in terms of understanding the playing role, Nick.
Yeah, I agree with the midfield. I think Reid and Hendry are too nice. You can afford to carry one of them while they flutter around. You look at Keeler Dunn, he used to flutter around and do bits and bobs, but you needed a Clark or somebody alongside him. And I think McDonald does that. But he was the only one of those 3 on Saturday who were running around. Reid and Hendry they were all over the place. They barely had the ball at times, and when they did, they were giving it away. I looked at the bench, you look at Maris, you think that team with Maris, Maka, and Dwyer is a completely different team. And I think that's where we went wrong. There was a couple of, like you say, maybe players were just too similar. I mean, Noyle and Hewitt, I think Noyle is a better Hewitt. And I can see why he did it. There weren't a massive amount of options at centre-half with Dave out. I do think you're right. I think Dave plays at that right centre-back. I would put Dave in the middle, but then you expose Sweeney out wide. So I think that's what he will do. I guess he's just got to find his pairings. I am surprised though. Like I said, a few of the players who did really well in pre-season, your Dwyers and Maris when he came on, and Maka was brilliant in some pre-season games, just didn't play. So I was a bit confused about that. I think, like Cole's intimated, I think there'll be some changes on Saturday, and I think breaking up. I suppose he's got to find the right pairings, hasn't he? I think he started pre-season playing one holding midfielder. Then we signed McDonnell, and he kind of went to two. And you think, well, did he do that by design? Did he always want to? And I think McDonnell can do the job on his own. He probably needs somebody in front of him. Actually, I think he actually was worse off having Reed alongside him.
I think
because
what
he
you
was
want
getting in his way. He can do the job of two men. McDonnell, he's that quick, and he can get about the place. I don't think he needed Reed next to him. You want the likes of Maris playing further on. It just doesn't. And I'm by no means a tactician, other than football manager experience.
When I moved that board earlier, I dropped it on my foot. And I think what you want really is you're looking at this, aren't you? You're looking to try and put, McDonnell into that position.
He can do that on his own. He can definitely do that.
He can cover there and there. And then what you want there is you want two creative midfielders where you maybe
a little bit further forward somehow. I don't know how you'd set it, but Maris has got to be in there somewhere.
Maris and Nobby Welsh, I think they probably.
Nobby Welsh, I think, again, yeah. Because those sort of players are just run around, but they do stuff on the ball, don't they? They get the ball, they drive at the opposition. Hendry and Reed just didn't do it.
They're two defensive players for me. I think what half our problem on Saturday was the fact that we had three defensive-minded midfielders, with two of which were trying to play attacking roles, which didn't quite come off, to be honest. I realise, Jim, that you can't see the excellence. I'm going to call it excellence.
It's brilliant, Jim, as well. It's really good.
That you can't see at the minute I've invested in a whiteboard, which I've put on a stand to try. And each game I'm going to put on the lineup, and I've got some like magnets, but unfortunately it's not a magnetic whiteboard, so that didn't work. But I've ordered a magnetic whiteboard. But it helps to demonstrate that. So I realised as you were listening to all that you couldn't see a thing that was going on.
I can imagine it in my head. It was a beautiful picture in my head. So,
but that's a better format that you've got there now with Maris and Nobby.
I think so.
I think that gives you a bit of pace, a bit of creativity, and I think Hendry. I'm not sure about him yet. Time will tell, but he looks a bit flimsy to me. And I think the young lad needs the space that you've alluded to as well. So McDonnell will get the space on that with that, and he'll have options in front of him and to either side as well.
I think that really that allows us to dominate the final third as well in the midfield, which is a lot more what we sort of want. It's interesting, Jim, for me as well. We're talking about McDonnell. I thought he was one of our standout players on Saturday. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I've sort of given him a little bit of a nickname. It used to be the interceptor for Paul Digby. I'm going to call McDonnell the enforcer because he just appears from nowhere, likes to get stuck in, wins the ball 98% of the time. And he just looks a really composed player. He, for me, is one of our strong signings when we're trying to play this setup.
Yeah, and he looked very good in the pre-season. The problem, I think, with McDonnell is he's clearly good, but he wants to play in the same space as Reed, and I don't think Clough will drop Reed. I think that's the problem. I don't see it. I think Reed's one of Clough's inner circle of favourite players who I don't see him dropping, and that's the problem, I think, or the conundrum he's going to have. But I do agree. I think if you're going to play Reed, you've got to get legs next to him, be it Mariah Welsh or Maris. And we looked so much better when Mariah Welsh came on. He covered the grass, and that's what we badly lacked before that.
Now, I appreciate that. Clive and Alan and Nick are all itching for me to issue you with a yellow card at this point, but I appreciate that you actually haven't attended the meeting where we've christened Mariah Welsh with a nickname, Jim. I know you wanted to call him the Piranha, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've had to overrule that by proxy vote, and we've called him. Clive, would you like to do the honours?
Nobby.
Little Nobby Welsh. No. Little Nobby Welsh, Jim.
The rule of Mansfield Matters nicknames is very straightforward. If we feel someone's got a name that's far too complex, too elaborate, or unpronounceable, as indeed with Dave, then we have the reason to say, well, what can we put in its place that is memorable and easy to rolls off the tongue and differentiates from other players? And so Deji became Dave. We were using the same capital letter, and Nathan became something beginning with N, and it was Nobby.
And it's a bonus because it's got knob in it as well.
Yeah, little Nobby Welsh.
It's a football.
Always a bonus. A little knob.
Footballing heritage written right through it as well. There's been plenty of good nobbies in the past.
So there you go.
So that's why he's Nobby, Jim. So
we deviated from the point there. Sorry.
That's okay. I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh, well, that's it. I'm sure. I mean, Clough just wants to win, like any of us, and I'm sure over the next 10 games, the best team will emerge naturally, and all this sort of trial and error will sort itself out. But you definitely need some legs next to Reed and McDonald, I think.
Yeah. Right, keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Thanks so much for doing so far tonight. Sweeney's not done nothing Alfie Kilgore couldn't do. Been bang average all pre-season as well. Didn't look like scoring until McLaughlin came on whipping balls in. Young lad from Forest looks lost. Macca needs to start against Donny. So does Dwyer. How Maris doesn't get in the team, I'll never know, says Jay. Reed wasn't great for most part of last season. Looked like a headless chicken on Saturday, says Marie. Carl says, is what it is. It is what it is. We was beaten by 2 great goals again and didn't get hammered. Take the positives. Strikers had no service until McLaughlin came on. Will Evans hasn't been the same player since Lee Gregory got crocked and hasn't found a stable partnership since. I think the pressure's going to be on Dwyer's back to score the goals. He has the ability, but we ain't a one-man team. And Lee says that Macca and Maris, if fit, would be the first names on the team sheet. Both play Clough's system to a T. What we miss in midfield is an Adam Murray type of player who's going to do the dirty work in the middle, pulling folk about. I honestly think that could be McDonald, to be honest. Jeff says we're so weak.
Is that the Lee Gregory, by the way? Because if it is, we could just ask him if he's retiring.
I don't think it's that one, to be honest. But maybe if he's got his boots, he might turn up on Saturday. There you go. Yeah, I definitely think we've got sort of potential in there. I think when it does click, it will click, but it's just that frustrating thing. Maybe we needed an extra 2 or 3 weeks just to be ready. But again, against Doncaster, it'll be completely different test. Right, we're going to move on from talking all things Burton, although there's still a hint of it there. And I think I might end up isolating myself in the next 5 minutes or so, because I'm not quite sure there'll be many that agree with me, to be fair. And that is the subject, Nick, of Rhys Oates. His first 90 minutes in what seemed like a century on Saturday. He was blowing in the last 15 minutes or so and was stuck out wide to save his legs. But from a mentality point of view, for him on a personal level, how good was it to see him actually complete 90 minutes?
Yeah, it was great, and I think he'll benefit from it. Personally, I mean, he did nothing for 15 minutes. As bad as Evans was, I think I would have done it the other way around. Or tried to have got Bolton on and left the defence how it was and just put Bolton on straight for them, swap both of them out. I get why he did it and left him on for 90 minutes, but he contributed zip all for the last 25, 30 minutes. So, yeah, it's great, but is that worth us not having every time the ball went out to him, he just stood there. So, nice to see him play, though. My worry is that he ain't a League One striker, but, he is what he is. We've got him. He's got the pace. Him and Evans were very too similar. They were all trying to run for the same balls. The balls, to be fair to them, were horrific. I mean, some of the passes Cargill tried to play to some of them were woeful. And I think I looked at half time and our passing percentage was something like 60%, which is horrific. That almost 50% of our passes were astray. But yeah, really good to see him back. I think him and Dwyer would be okay. I think I'd like to see that, because Dwyer would do the work that Oates would not. But Oates had a better game than Evans, I must admit, and it was nice to see him running about. And he looked like he had the same pace that he's always had, which is nice. He just needs to stay fit, doesn't he? And hopefully a few more. He laid a goal on 90 minutes will help.
Evans missed, of course.
He would have done. Yeah, he would have done, absolutely. Yeah, that would have.
I share the view. We are I think missing the point with having Oates and Evans at the moment. I worry about Evans. He's not had any form back end of last season, and it was a wasted shirt in my view on Saturday. It's not for the lack of effort. The lad tries his best, but he had no impact at all on the game. I'd like to see Oates partnered by Dom. I think for the Tumble, for the next game, because I think they don't play the same game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's you definitely don't need two players, like I said earlier, that are similar, especially in this tactic. I am pro Oates. I mean, I know last season I was talking and was in the same camp as you can't afford to have too much sentimentality. But what he has done, I think he's replayed is he's put the work in. He's hungry. He's got a desire to try and succeed. He's got a good attitude. And I think I've seen glimpses of him, Alan, in pre-season, where I think he can suit this tactic once he finds his feet a little bit and builds up that confidence. What we have to remember is we're judging the past Oates on playing in a completely different formation when we played a 4-4-2 diamond. We don't play that anymore. And, he's progressed a little bit. He's done some work in the gym. I think he could be that powerful forward that if he gets the right pairing, a.k.a. Oates and Tumble, or Oates and another, I think it could work well. I think he could repay us.
I just hope it does work for him, because I've got a lot of time for the lad. I know Nigel's looked after him like he's looked after quite a few of the players, but fair play to him for that, because I see Oates as a good kingpin this season, but it's only my opinion. I just hope he really does well, because I've got a lot of time for the lad. I feel sorry, with the injuries, he's come back and he's come back again, and then he's done it again. And I just hope it works this time and he gets to surface. Couple of 3 goals under his belt, we might see the best of Oates. But I suppose you could say that about Evans or anybody else. As soon as they get on the score sheet, heads come up, job done.
Indeed you can. Jim, before we go to a break, close off this part of conversation for us. Your final thoughts on Oates?
I think he's got his uses. He's got his qualities, but he's not great in front of goal, and his injury record we'll know about. I think he's lucky to get an extra 1-year deal. I think jury's out. I mean, if he has an impact, great. But I think what Clive says, you can't rely on him, and I think you'd certainly need cover for that kind of player. And we get what I think. I'm at the stage with him. Anything we get from him is a bonus, to be honest.
Absolutely.
That's what I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Clive. Thanks, Nick and Alan. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk all things Bishop Street Stand. We're going to talk a word which Alan Wilson loves so much. He's definitely going to say it on Saturday. We're going to talk an exchange, but a ticket exchange. And we're going to talk about Derby Day as well, as we look ahead to Doncaster at home on Saturday. And then, of course, a little trip down the road to that team in blue whose name begins with C. Don't go anywhere. We're back in about 30 seconds. Hit the jingle!
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
And just like that, we're back. Welcome back to the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Great to have you with us this evening. We've got Clive, we've got Alan, we've got Jim on the phone. Say hello, Jim.
Hi.
And Nick is backstage as well. He's run off to make himself a cup of tea. He'll be back in just a second. Right, let's talk Bishop Street, shall we? There he is. He's back right now. Was it a tactical wee, Nick, or a cup of tea fill up?
It was tactical, as Clive knows from the away trips. 20 minutes without going for a wee is a bonus, so I lasted about 40, so that's all right.
Gold star. We're talking Bishop Street Stands then. Clive, I'm going to come to you first on this one. I know you've been sort of keeping a keen eye on it over the summer, and you posted a nice little photo on Faceache the other day. All the seats are now in, and on Saturday, there's going to be some fans in too.
Yeah, apparently we've given some seats away for the Doncaster game. I think that's important. They dry test it. In fact, probably a requirement of the safety certificate anyway. But it looks tidy. I mean, it's never been bloody tidy. And all the time I've been watching Stags, even when it was in its infancy. So I think hats off to the club. They've done a very difficult job well, I think, despite all of the complications and a lot of undeserved criticism. They've done a decent job.
Yeah, they have. And it is looking neat and tidy, Nick. Now, we always come to you as our relative construction expert on the show, as well as shirts. It's like your little side hustle. Mansfield Town Construction is your new YouTube channel coming very, very soon. It was a difficult job for old Sid to take on. But
Nick the brick.
He's delivered.
Yeah, something like that, Clive. It sounds a bit like that. I'm not sure that's the right second word. Yeah, I think it looks great. I think the only thing that Sid failed upon was giving people dates. Don't give them dates. Just say, I don't know. I'll let you know. We'll see how it goes. Because all the dates he gave, he didn't hit, which wasn't always his fault and probably was never his fault. But, first date syndrome, you tell them Christmas and they'll be stood there on Christmas Eve waiting to get in. I think it looks really smart. I haven't seen it up close myself, but it looks okay. And I think it'd be interesting to see what they do with the other sides of it as they progress. But look, he's got it open for the start of the season. We couldn't really ask for much more than that. And I think it'll be great on Saturday to see people in it and see what difference the sound makes, having Stags fans in that side. We've been very used to a 3-sided bowl with one side of the bowl missing. Be interested to see, hearing a bit of noise from that side. I think for certainly younger fans, I think it'll be it'd be very different. I think it'd be great. I don't know how many fans they've given tickets to. Is it somebody put 50? Well, that can't be right. That wouldn't be much of a noise.
I think it's about
much of a test event.
400 from the academy, I think.
Oh, okay. So I think it'll be interesting. And I think all credit to Sid and the team. However they've managed it in the end.
Yeah, they have. I think it's going to be an interesting one, Alan, isn't it, to see fans back over there again for nearly the first time in a couple of decades, which is, really, really mind-blowing, to be honest. But, got to do a test event to satisfy health and safety. I believe Mr. Radford was dishing some tickets out at Stags Fest and various others. But either way, it's good to see. And, maybe it's be a new home for you, because obviously the next job is to get a new PA box, isn't it? That's Sid's next job.
No, I doubt that very much. I can remember the last time I was over there with my old Amstrad system when Simon Mapletoft was over there as well. But yeah, it'd be nice to see people in it. I think it looks really nice. It looks a lot better than it did before. That's all we can ask. Sid's done a good job. Like Nick said, struggling with the dates, but they might not have been his fault. So
since I went last week,
I missed the videos. I used to enjoy watching the videos.
Sorry to talk over you, Alan. It's my rampant enthusiasm on the line. Since I went down earlier in the week, they've put the ladies' loo block in place. It's obviously a container loo, but it's a proper one. And they've also put the food concession hut in there, in what is going to be known as the fan zone. I think there's also got to be some fencing to give the fan zone some privacy from the pitch and vice versa. But I think they're pretty much on the last throws now. They've got to put some form of railings with a gate in it to stop people going into the groundsman's area, because they share that corner of the ground. But I think it'll be all right. I really do. And I think if it gets well populated and we survive this season and we build on what we've done, there'll be a clamour to put the phase 2 in place as soon as possible as well. Which the good news will be, if we do go for phase 2, it should rock it up compared to the problems that we had to deal with the old stands foundations. So wouldn't be the same opportunity for people to take the piss out of Sid.
Jim, have you been down to the one call over the close season, or will Saturday be the first time that you lay eyes on old Sid's work?
I've seen it when I went to the club shop, and I've seen a few pictures on Facebook. It looks all right. It's that phrase, small changes can make a big difference, isn't it? And I think it'll make the ground feel like a proper ground again. And I'm looking forward to seeing it Saturday. I think it's great, yeah.
The other question, though, Jim, is do you think that the demand will be there to actually fill it? Obviously, it's taken a full season to get it up and ready to the point where it gets through. Let's presume that the safety advisory group will give it all the relevant ticks with the safety event on Saturday after that. Is the demand still there to fill it, do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I think so. Most of our home games sell out, don't they? So I think we will basically fill it. I've got a mate at work he's a season ticket holder in the Quarry Lane, and he says, he'll go in there for a cup game just to see what it's like. So a lot of our fans want to try it as well, who don't normally sit there. So I think it will sell, yeah.
I think sorry, Craig. The important thing here is to remember the numbers. Mansfield Town only has about 6,800 home seats, and of that, we've got 6,000 season ticket holders. So casual supporters have got only 800 tickets to target for the games that they want to come to or are able to come to, not being season ticket holders. So the extra about 800 odd seats that's going to be in Bishop Street doubles the availability for the non-season ticket supporter. That's a huge difference. It's not a huge number of fans on its own, but it makes a huge difference to the capacity for the home fans. We can do nothing about the away fans, nor should we. They've got that stand to themselves. So I think it's absolutely the right thing to do at the right time. It would have been better to have done it in time for last season, but the practicalities wouldn't allow for that. So it will make a difference. And let's also remember, if we do fill it, just multiply the average ticket price against those number of new seats being filled. That's real money coming into the club over and above the budget.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's not been an official figure on the number of seats that got in there yet, but it's
less than 1,000, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. I know we've all tried counting, haven't we, from the various photos and stuff that are out there. We might give it another go on Saturday if we get bored or at half time. Maybe that could be the new entertainment, Al. Maybe what we'll do is we won't do like any half-time entertainment like the Food Hub Challenge or various other bits. What we'll do is we'll just do guess the number of seats in Bishop Street stand. I think the number is 4. Do one, mate. Come on.
Can I say, I think Sid would win that.
I think he would, yeah. Maybe he's going to be abolished from entering as well. But what I would like to see, Nick, and I'm sure we could all be up for it, is when we play these, car leasing, paint drying trophy fixtures, of which we'll have 2 at home. I know we always struggle sometimes to fill the Ian Greaves lower, and that's always the first stand that's opened. Maybe we start with opening Bishop Street first, and maybe we could have a little Mansfield Matters gathering over on the far side where we're shouting over to Alan, "Exchanged! It's been exchanged now!"
I think you'd sell really well. I think there's going to be a lot of people. I dare say every Mansfield fan would like to sit in that stand at least once and give it a go. And I think it'll be interesting to see whether they ever do open it up to season ticket holders. Because like myself, I've got a little one who can't sit where I can sit, but in a few years' time, I'll be looking for a season ticket. I think that might open up opportunities because either people moving from their existing seats over there. So I think that's an interesting one, whether they'll open it up for season tickets or not. But I think everyone in their right mind as a Stags fan would like to try it. So yeah, we'll have a little Mansfield Matters soiree over the other side of the pitch. Why not? And we could try the toilets. And we did say Sid has said that there's ample room. We've already said we want to test whether the ambience in the urinals and the cubicles and what did he call it?
The milling
area.
So Clive was going to mill while there was other people in the toilets. I'm not suggesting this is a regular pastime of Clive's, but he will mill around in the toilets while.
I have to say, Nick, I think you should go in that stand and get a seat next to the corridor in the middle there, because then you can be nipping up and down to the toilet to satisfy your weak bladder.
Built for Nick, isn't it?
The fact that I have to go, twice during a game in a crap toilet, so I may as well go in luxury, hadn't I?
I mean, and also Clive, this is a bit of an in-joke with the Mansfield Matters away travel crew, but also Clive can test out the flush system and whether or not it's good for his car keys. More on that another time, I'm sure. Jim, would you like to go and spend a game in the Bishop Street stand, or are you happy in the Ian Greaves upper?
I'm happy where I'm sat, but I'd try it out for sure, just for the experience. I think a lot of people think like that, yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Because I need to refill my drink, and I'm sure that Nick is already crossing his legs for another wee.
I'm all right at the minute.
I feel like it's a good time to pay homage to our friend Sid, and he's taken a lot of flack, and we here at Mansfield Matters, I know Sid from years ago. He used to come on a radio show that I used to produce many years ago. He's an absolute top bloke. Funny as you like, dry as you like, really funny, really lovely. He's taken a lot of flack with it, but I've enjoyed the videos and the honesty. So Nathan did what Nathan does best, and that is to put his AI pen to work and create a song. You may have seen this on our social media, but if you haven't, here is the tactical Craig needs to run downstairs, get his notebook and drink break, aka the Sid Pepper song. Ladies and gentlemen, raise a glass, which is currently empty, to old Sid.
Hi, I'm Sid Pepper, and I've got a plan for the Bishop Street stand. I'm your man. I'm your man. The walls are crooked and the paint is old, but I've got big plans that need to be told. When will it be done? They ask every day. I scratch my head and here's what I say. Just you wait till phase 3. It's gonna be a sight to see. The best damn toilets in the land at Bishop Street stand. Deadlines are coming, but the work's behind. It's all part of the plan, I remind. The scaffolding's been up since 2002, but trust me, folks, I know what to do. Just you wait till phase 3. Executive boxes, you'll agree. The best damn toilets in the land at Bishop Street stand. But Sid, they say it's taking too long. The porta potty smells so wrong. But I've got vision, can't you see? These fancy flushers will set us free. Budget's blown and the crew's all stressed, but our facilities will be the best. When will it be done? Don't ask me twice. Just trust old Sid, it'll be paradise. Just you wait till phase 3. It's worth the wait, you'll all thank me. The best damn toilets in the land at the Bishop Street stand. Maybe by next Christmas.
The Mansfield Matters Collective there, written by Nathan Edge, performed by some robot. The Sid Pepper song, ladies and gentlemen. Jim, your assessment?
Loved it. Want to buy it? Yeah.
We'll get it. We'll get it released now. We'll get it. I think we should just have Mansfield Matters t-shirts, Nick, which just say the words "the best damn toilets in the land."
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, it's some, you'll never sing that. That's what we should sing at games, isn't it? The best
toilets,
male
you'll never
WDs.
sing that.
I think Mansfield Matters should sponsor the toilet rolls.
The Bishop Street toilet sponsored by Mansfield Matters.
No, I think it should be the Mansfield Matters milling area.
Oh, that's just too many M's.
Just that specific bit.
Too many M's.
Afford all of it.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Alan, Nathan's written some questionable AI songs, but I think that's one of my favourites.
Yeah, quality song that. Yeah, and I think in homage to Sid, fair play. Done a good job, ladders.
Will you be playing that over the tannoy on Saturday? That's the big question, isn't it?
I doubt that very much.
Disgrace.
I've got no words for it. I can't.
Unless it's on a 45 RPM vinyl, you can't play it.
That's true. On an old CD, on an old tape.
Oh,
right,
dear.
let's move on to something which Alan Wilson is associated with by the virtue of the fact that he's got the word exchange in it, and that is the great ticket exchange. Nick, it's been announced over the last week or so that there will be a ticket exchange put in place, mainly due to the demand of all the tickets and things like that. What have you made of the ticket exchange news this week?
I think it's a good idea. I did see that in typical Stags fashion, everyone was putting reasons why they hated it on Facebook, but I don't see there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know, if you can't go, you get a bit of credit back. I know people said, "Oh, what if I don't get a season ticket next season?" Oh, whatever. I'm sure they'll get to it at the end of it. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. You get some cash back at the end of the season off your season ticket, and That's if the seat is sold, of course, and somebody else gets to go to a game that they couldn't before. I don't really see a downside to it.
Several stipulations in it, Clive, but I think it's what I want to praise the club about most is the fact that it's the supporter who owns the seat, for want of a better phrase, who is the one who is, the real winner of it. Season ticket holders will receive 80% of the cost of their ticket back in exchange if the seat is resold. The credit will automatically be added into your ticketing account once the match has been played, and credit can be built up across the season and redeemed against the purchase of your season ticket for the following campaign. Season ticket holders will have until 2 hours prior to kick-off to list their seats, and I believe that they can also get them back if they then change their mind, as long as the seat hasn't been sold. And you can also, this is the key bit for me, forward your ticket onto a friend, and the club have set up an online step-by-step guide to help. I've had a little play about with this as well, Clive, and to be honest, it looks relatively simple and easy to do. And I think it just shows another good example of the hard work that the club have put in off the pitch during the closed season.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I think if we want to accept nothing in this world is ever perfect, if we can live with that notion, then you accept it for what it is. It's a really good attempt at solving what has been a non-existent system in the past. We have the opportunity, when you genuinely can't use your season ticket, to give it to someone else legitimately, or to put it putting 80% of it as credit into your account. And by the way, if it's gone onto your ticketing account, I would have thought, even if you don't buy a season ticket next year, you could use it to buy incidental tickets, because you still have your account.
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I believe so.
I don't think there's any fear of not getting the value back. One question that somebody raised on social media was, what happens if I give up my seat because I can't get to a match, then that match gets postponed, and then I can get to the rearranged fixture, but my ticket's been sold? You put that, I have to say, I think you put that down against risk.
Yeah.
If it happens, it's bad luck. See if you can get a seat somewhere else.
I think you're stuffed on that occasion. I think you know this.
You can't demand it back when someone's bought it. I mean, that would be wrong. And that's why, to a certain extent, and the other query that someone made was, I know I'm going to be away for a period of time and I'll miss 4 games or whatever, and it won't let me do all 4 games. It'll only let me do Doncaster. And I think that's the logic there. They don't want people making decisions too far ahead, because circumstances change things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just games postponed. There's going to be situations where TV demand a change of kickoff time, which will affect some people's ability to get the game. It's not perfect, but it's a damn sight better than what we've had, which has been nothing.
It is. Now, I know, Jim, that you're an avid presenter. It's very, very rare that you miss a home game. I know that, in the past we've had conversations about potentially bringing your lad along, and I've always said to you that if my dad's not going, and nobody else wants his season ticket, it could possibly be there for you to use. Does this scheme give you a little bit of hope that maybe, in the future, if you do want to take your lad along, or you want to take a mate along from work or anything, that you might be able to pick up a ticket closer to where you're sat? I'm thinking if you maybe get talking to the people around you who sit near you and they go, oh, I'm not coming next week, and that transfer to a friend option could be, one which is utilised a lot.
I like the scheme. I think a lot of other clubs have had it for a while. I think it's common sense. It's optimising, the grounds. There's no empty seats, and people get some money back. I think it's, like someone said, it's win-win all round. It opens doors and options on lots of scores. And I wasn't necessarily thinking for my lad in my situation, but I do like all the positives it brings. I like you say, I get to all the games anyway, really, more or less, but I can only see positive from it.
There is another thing, which I don't want to sound cynical, because it's not my nature, but my season ticket means that my home games cost me about £13 as a senior. And if I hand it back on this scheme and the club then sell it to a casual adult, presumably they will sell it for £30. So I'm going to get 80% of £13.70 or whatever the figure is, and the club will do well out of it. And somebody who couldn't have got a ticket gets a ticket. It's a bit of a win-win, I suppose, isn't it?
I think Thomas summed it up best in the comments, Alan, saying, to be honest, I'd have been delighted with 50% back. I didn't buy a season ticket to sell them. So if I can't make a game, it's a huge bonus.
80% seems high to me. I think that seems, well, no, I don't know what other schemes are, but 80% to me was higher than I expected when I heard about it. So I think that's,
Yeah, I was expecting it to
you know,
go
they
the
could
other
have
way.
easily said 50, couldn't they? They could have very easily said it or less.
Yeah.
They could have easily said, oh, you get 40% back, you know, and everyone would have gone, oh, I'm happy with that.
Well, I'm testing it out because I'm in Norway when we play Stevenage, and it's a long way to come back. So I'm going to test the system, see if it works.
I'm saying maybe, obviously, I've only just heard about it from when Craig and Clive were on about in the chat earlier on. But it does sound a good idea. And if you can make use of it, why not? I was just wondering, with the 80%, I wonder if they've edged around other clubs and see what they give back. Because, you know,
How much did you sell your box for, Alan?
Everybody seems to be quite happy, you know, with the 80%, which is fair comment.
Well, the club have said they're not doing it to make money.
No.
They're doing it to fill seats.
Yeah.
I think they will make some money out of it, but it's not the drive for doing it.
Yeah. If the drive was for doing it, if it was more of a money-making scheme, they'd have implemented something about you have to attend X number of home games to then go into a category to get priority on season tickets for next year. They're not doing that. This is just about trying to generate more people on seats, so you know, the ground feels more full every single week. Give people the opportunity to do so, and with, I think, a slight viewpoint to next season where there will potentially be more season tickets available to buy because of the increased capacity of keeping more people interested and keeping their eyes on One Call Stadium. What we're doing, it's definitely a huge plus in that box. Right, we're going to do podcast predictions in a couple of minutes, but I want to go first and foremost and look at one final question which came in at the very start of the show. And I do apologise if I can't remember your name, because I've got to scroll back all the way back to the comments. But it was along the lines of, what's more important, 3 points against Doncaster or beating the C Word on Tuesday night? Of course, we play them in the Carabao Cup first round on Tuesday evening. First time we've played them, Nick, in many a year since the Sir Mal Benning days. It's always an interesting fixture. Many people were delighted about it when it came out of the draw. I'll be completely honest, I wasn't that bothered. Obviously, I want us to absolutely hammer them and teach them a lesson and, you know, impose our, you know, seniority on them in terms of being a league higher. But if I had to choose between progressing in the Carabao Cup or taking 3 points against Doncaster, I will take the 3 points against Doncaster every single time. And whether or not that makes me not a true fan or whatever, because I'm preferencing beating Doncaster over beating the C Word, I don't really care, because for me, it's the league which is more important. But there's always that other thing. Why can't we do both?
I can't remember the last time I beat the C Word, to be honest, Craig. That's a matter for a different podcast. I don't care about Tuesday. I think I'm probably in the minority. I don't really care. I want to win on Saturday, and then they do what they do on Tuesday. It won't determine anything. We won't play them again this season unless we draw them in the FA Cup. I don't really care. Obviously, I want to win. I'm not saying go out there and lose, but if there was an opportunity to win either or, Saturday is a no-brainer for me. We need to start getting points in the league. I don't care about the Carabao Cup. So obviously, I want us to win, but I don't really care about beating Chesterfield or not. They don't matter enough to me to actually care.
Clive, it's an interesting quandary, isn't it? I think most people will be like, what are these talking about at the minute in terms of we're not, you know, we're sort of preferencing the league. But a local derby would be a sellout. You know, it'll be a really interesting atmosphere. But I don't know, if I had to choose between the two, obviously, you know, I always look down at it and think, well, we're one league above them anyway. And for as long as we can be, we will be.
I don't give a damn about this competition, to be honest. It can only bring grief, in my opinion. But, you know, I don't want to see us lose to them. Quite clearly, I don't. But the only reason that people are so irate about it is because it's the old foe. If it had been Scunthorpe or somebody, wouldn't have given a toss about winning or losing. If it was down to me, I'd play the second string. In other words, all the players in the squad that aren't likely to play or didn't play on Saturday, which means you'd have Mason in goals and look at the team, because it would give them experience. It would give the club a chance to see how they work as a competitive unit. and they would stand just as good a chance against Chesterfield as would the first team, and you don't run the risk of crocking your key players.
Yeah, I think Alan will probably agree. I think Clough has a history of doing that, hasn't he? To sort of chopping and changing, especially early doors. We'd be thinking about that long trip to Exeter as well. But there's no reason that the players who aren't in this 11 on the board behind me won't come in. Who will come in? Won't do a sterling job. I think there's not a lot you can change in the back line, and what we have got this season in comparison to last is that massive strength in depth.
Yeah, I'd agree. 3 points definitely for me, first and foremost. But I don't think he'll make wholesale changes for Tuesday. I think it'll be something he wants to progress in. I don't know. And, you've got the perfect opportunity against Sparrows.
Fact is, Jim, we shouldn't be losing that game at all, should we? Regardless of the opposition. We're a League One side, they're a League Two side. We should be dominating our superiority, shouldn't we?
If only it worked that way, Craig.
Yeah, we're sure. I mean, I'd agree with the panel. I think 3 points would be my choice. I think Clough will see it as just another chance to get some rhythm going, like Alan alluded to get some rhythm going, get some combinations and telepathy going with the players. I think it's as much as anything. I mean, I know the players from Chesterfield and Stags will be aware of the rivalry, but most of the players involved, it won't really register with them that much. They won't. I don't think any of them will be Stags or Chesterfield fans, and to them, it will be just another game ultimately. And I think I'd set 3 points and just a chance to get some rhythm. And I think that's all the group really wants it as. It's for the fans more than anything, the Chesterfield thing.
Well, maybe after 8 series and 2 episodes, maybe we're actually finding out that Mansfield doesn't matter after all.
Oh, no. And on that bombshell.
Podcast predictions.
The game of luck, who gives up, don't mess it up. Podcast predictions. I hear you say, how do you play? Podcast predictions. Win, lose or draw, then pick a score and one more thing. Pick a hero, don't score 0, that's the game. Podcast predictions. We're not fools, this game has rules. It gets on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. Podcast predictions. Podcast predictions. Remember the rhyme. Guess on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. Podcast predictions.
Oh, Craig.
Get out of hand this. Get out of hand this.
Whoa,
I'm beginning to wilt under the weight of artificial songs.
Look,
There was a nod to the old jingle in there, weren't there? The whisper.
Someone messaged me in the week and said that they missed the whisper. So I thought I'd add the whisper back in and take out some of the overkill on the AI last week. But clearly you lot aren't fans, so I might just have to go back to the old one.
Everything in decent measure, Craig. Everything in decent measure. You can do too much of a good thing.
I just like the line, remember the rhyme, guess on time, you'll be fine, remember the rhyme. I like that. I've got to...
Can you just whisper that?
On its own, there's nothing wrong with it. We've already had 2 others.
Yes, that's it.
Rhyme. Remember the rhyme. All right. I'll see what I can do. We'll see. Right.
It did sound a bit serial killerish. Go on.
I don't know what you're talking about. I
think you're talking a load of rubbish.
Right, moving on.
Let's do podcast predictions, shall we?
I was waiting for that to make an appearance.
You've set me off now. Right, first and foremost, let's go through the points from last week. A low-scoring game with 2 early leaders, James Bird and Richard Spencer, 20-22. Both at the lead in the pack with just 10 points, literally because they chose Bailey Cargill and nothing else. Player points, Bailey Cargill picked up 10 points. McLaughlin, Sweeney, Noyle, Oates, Reed and Evans picked up 3. McDonnell and Hewitt picked up 2. Little Nobby, Welsh and Hendry and Dwyer and Bolton and Roberts all picked up 1 point apiece. If you chose Maris or McAdam, they would have scored you 0. And if you picked anybody else, And it was -5 points. So we'll see how we do on this week. Nothing has changed on podcast predictions, Jim. It's the same as it was last year, but that's why we've got a catchy jingle to let you remember. So first and foremost, Jim, win, lose or draw?
On Saturday?
Doncaster. We only do league games, Jim. Come on, you know this.
Right, I'm going to go win. 2-1 win. McLaughlin.
Stevie Mac. Right, Alan, you're up next.
2-0 win. Dom Dwyer.
Okay, all right. Clive.
2-1 defeat.
Oh, okay.
Sweeney.
Ooh. Nick. We just had swinging to negativeness there. Nick.
Draw.
Yep.
Jamie Mack.
Draw what?
Oh, the score. Sorry, 1-1.
And you're going for McDonald, are you?
Yep.
Excellent. Right, I am going to go for win. I'm going to go for a 4-1 win. And I'm going to go for. I'm going to go with Nick's choice of play. I'm going to also go with McDonald. So there you go. If you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link in the description. That was.
The game of luck, who gives up the...
I'm not really going to play it again. There you go.
And that's Clive out of here.
That's Clive out of here. That's almost all we've got time for this week. Jim, obviously 2 big games coming up. Doncaster on Saturday and then obviously the C Word on Tuesday night. Looking forward to getting back to One Call Stadium.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, can't wait. I think a lot of us are. And hopefully, I mean, I'm not too fixated on the result. Obviously, we want to win, but I just look for the performance, and then the results will follow anyway.
It's important, though, isn't it, Jim, to get our foot in and get 3 points on the board on Saturday. Doncaster, a side who came up last year. They've got that momentum like we had this time last year. They were a little bit lucky maybe on the opening day. We've got to go and take advantage, haven't we, and start off on a good footing at home.
Of course, but I think. Really, it's about getting a performance going over a number of games, and then the results look after themselves. I'd sooner play well and draw than play crap and win, because if you play crap, you're going to get found out in this league before long. So I think this stage of the season, it's just not panicking and hitting levels and getting the performance, and the points will look after themselves. We're not at the business end of the season yet, so it is where you finish, not where you start.
Absolutely. Jim, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'll see you on Saturday, my friend.
Yeah, see you, mate. See you guys.
See you in a bit. That's Jim gone.
Jim.
Clive. We've got to come out and give these extra fans in Bishop Street. This is a historic day in the new era of the club, isn't it? 4 sides, fans all round the pitch. We've got to put in a decent performance and get a victory, haven't we? Even though you've gone for us to be beaten.
Yeah, I think we've still got some learning to do, and I think therefore we're going to leave ourselves open to a team that's got off to a quicker start than we have. And I think Doncaster have bought well this year. I think they'll do quite well. And I also think it's going to be harder for us to win at home than just to win away a lot of the time. So I have far more confidence about the game afterwards at Exeter. But I'm with Jim. As long as we can see performance and we can see parts of the team dovetailing together, that's the basis of success later on. Of course I want to win. The fact I forecast we won't win is just me trying to win this bloody competition. But I think the reality is it's going to be a tough game on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being with my chums who I normally gravitate towards each in that area of the ground I call mine. I've tried to change my seat to get behind the home dugout so that Mr. Clough can have the benefit of my wisdom. At the moment, it's the away dugout.
I think it's really important that you do that, Clive.
I think so. At the moment, I'm giving the benefit of my wisdom to the away manager.
Well, that's no wonder we were terrible.
They're very ungrateful.
Yeah.
They really are ungrateful. Some of the things they say. Anyway, there you go. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope we win. I don't think we will. If performance matters more.
Indeed, it does. Nick, looking forward to getting back to the first home game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Bishop Street Open with people in it. I think that's exciting. Although I do think this is a difficult game, it's probably the easier one of the few we've got coming up. We've got some really tough games coming up. So I think we need to register a win, or at least something that looks like a win and a good performance. But yeah, I think everyone will be happy to be home, and we're not wearing a dreadful kit. So, there's always a bonus. Clive might be able to see the players, which is nice.
Yes, that was probably the issue, wasn't it, on Saturday? The fact that the players probably just couldn't see each other because they were like camouflaged into the pitch. But Alan, looking forward to getting back in and dusting the dust off the vinyl records and the PA box and shouting out some exchanges.
Yeah, hoping that it'll work all right. And like Nick, looking forward to seeing the Bishop Street with people in there. But I always like to see at Mansfield an early goal. So I think it settles everybody down. A nice convincing win would be nice to go into the following Tuesday and thereafter. Well, I think a nice positive performance would do us all the world of good.
I can just see it now. Goal scorer for the Stags, Mansfield Town's number. Actually, I don't know what squad number he is. Whatever it is.
10.
Little Nobby!
Oh.
7.
He's not 7.
I thought you were going to say goal for Doncaster, to be perfectly frank, but we'll take it.
Well, there you go. Alan, you practice your goal call-outs in your sleep. I'm sure you're itching to get down to One Call Stadium. I'll see you all on Saturday, and I'll see you guys next week, live from a hotel room, Wi-Fi being well. Play the jingle! Sadly, that's all we've got time for on this week's Mansfield Matters podcast. My thanks, as ever, to the Mansfield Matters podcast panel. And, of course, to you guys at home who are watching the live feed and listening to the audio version as well. If you fancy watching along to a live feed and getting involved via the comments, then make sure you check out our social media to find out when we're next going to be live. Make sure you also click the link in the description to get involved in podcast predictions. And remember that you now must submit your guesses no later than 90 minutes before kick-off, thanks to the EFL changing the rules. And of course, remember that we don't do cup games, just the league games, please. And if you fancy getting involved in the EFL Fantasy League, the link for that is in the description too. Right, we'll see you next week as we look back on Doncaster and the C word. Will we have any knighthoods to add to the list? And we'll also look ahead to Exeter. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. See you on Saturday.